The holographic display cast an eerie red glow across Captain Sarah Chen's face as she studied the incoming threat assessment. 2,000 consortium warships had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima system. Their sleek, crystalline vessels arranged themselves into an attack formation that resembled a deadly flower blooming in the void of space. "Status report," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The bridge of the U.S. Artemis hummed with nervous energy as her crew worked at their stations. "Consortium fleet is maintaining formation at 6 million kilometers, Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Wong reported from Tactical. "Their energy signatures suggest they're charging weapons across the board. No communication attempts." Chen nodded, having expected nothing less from the consortium. The crystalline aliens had spent the last 5 years systematically destroying human colonies, their stated goal being the purification of what they saw as primitive organic life from their sector of space. Earth had fallen 3 months ago. Now Proxima Centauri, humanity's first extrasolar colony, was their final target. "All hands, battle stations," Chen announced shipwide. "This is what we trained for." The Artemis represented humanity's last hope, an experimental vessel built in secret using reverse-engineered consortium technology. While it appeared to be a standard heavy cruiser from the outside, its heart contained something revolutionary: the quantum ghost drive. The device could theoretically create temporal echoes of the ship itself, but it had never been tested in actual combat. "Engineering, status of the ghost drive?" Chen asked. "Drive is operational, Captain," Chief Engineer Yuki Tanaka responded, her voice tight with focus. "But I have to remind you, we don't know if the containment field will hold under combat conditions. A cascade failure cold." "Noted, Chief. But we're out of options." Chen turned to her XO, Commander David Rivera. "How many civilian ships are still evacuating?" Rivera consulted his terminal. 3 colony ships remain in system, Captain. They need another 20 minutes to complete their jump calculations. Then we'll give them 20 minutes. Chen stood from her command chair, studying the tactical display. The consortium fleet was arranging itself into their standard attack pattern, a sphere of smaller vessels surrounding their massive flagship. They were methodical, predictable. It was their greatest weakness. "Helm, plot an attack vector straight for their flagship," Chen ordered. "Maximum thrust on my mark." The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. Even with their experimental technology, attacking the heart of the enemy fleet seemed like suicide. "Ma'am," Rivera began, "with all due respect." "They expect us to run," Chen interrupted. "To hide. To play defensive until they can overwhelm us. That's what they've seen from every human fleet they've encountered. But we're going to show them something new." She activated the ship-wide comm again. "All hands, this is your captain. In the next few minutes, we're going to attempt something that's never been done before. The consortium believes they've won this war. They think humans are predictable, weak, willing to accept defeat. They're wrong." Throughout the ship, crew members listened intently as they manned their battle stations. In engineering, Tanaka and her team made final adjustments to the ghost drive. In medical, doctors prepared for casualties. In the weapon pods, gunners checked their targeting systems. "Each of you volunteered for this mission, knowing it might be one way," Chen continued. "But you also knew that if we succeed here, we prove that humanity isn't finished, that we can fight back, that we can win." The consortium fleet began to move, their formation tightening as they prepared for their final advance. "They have us outnumbered 2,000 to 1, Chen acknowledged. "They have better weapons, better shields, more advanced technology. But they don't have what we have, the human ability to do the impossible when our backs are against the wall. To improvise, to adapt, to overcome." She returned to her command chair, buckling in as final battle preparations were made. "Helm, plot our attack vector. Weapons, arm everything we've got. Engineering, prepare the ghost drive for maximum output." The massive enemy fleet loomed closer on the main view screen, their crystalline ships glinting in the light of Proxima Centauri. They were beautiful in their alien deadliness, like a swarm of diamond-sharp knives cutting through the darkness. "Send one final message to the civilian ships," Chen ordered communications. "Tell them to jump the moment their calculations are complete. Don't wait for us." She took a deep breath, feeling the eyes of her bridge crew upon her. Everything they'd planned, everything they'd prepared for, came down to the next few minutes. "This is where we make our stand," she said quietly. "This is where we show them what one human ship can do." She raised her voice. "All hands, battle stations, helm, execute attack course, maximum thrust." The Artemis's engines flared to life, pushing the experimental ship toward its destiny. Whether they would survive the next hour was uncertain, but one thing was clear. They would show the consortium that humanity wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. The Artemis accelerated toward the heart of the consortium fleet, its experimental engines pushing far beyond normal human capabilities. In engineering, Chief Tanaka watched the quantum ghost drive's core pulse with an otherworldly blue light as power levels climbed toward the theoretical maximum. "Drive stability at 87%, she reported, her fingers dancing across multiple control surfaces. "Ready to initiate Ghost Protocol on your command, Captain." On the bridge, Captain Chen watched as the distance to the enemy fleet rapidly decreased. The consortium ships had begun to react to their aggressive approach, their formation shifting to create a deadly web of overlapping fire zones. "Enemy vessels charging weapons," Lieutenant Wang announced from tactical, detecting multiple target locks. "Steady," Chen ordered, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Wait for them to commit to their attack pattern." The first salvos from the consortium fleet lit up space, streams of crystalline energy that could shear through normal human shields like paper. But the Artemis wasn't a normal human ship. "Evasive pattern Delta," Chen commanded. "Engineering, begin Ghost Protocol initialization." The ship's quantum drive hummed louder, its frequency changing to something that made the crew's teeth ache. In engineering, Tanaka and her team worked frantically to maintain stability as the experimental system prepared to do something that violated several laws of physics. "First wave incoming," Wang shouted. The Artemis twisted through space, its enhanced maneuverability allowing it to dodge most of the initial barrage. Those shots that did connect were absorbed by shields reverse-engineered from consortium technology. "Ghost drive ready," Tanaka reported, her voice tense. "But Captain, we've never attempted this with more than one echo. If we try for multiple projections, we need at least 3 to make this work," Chen interrupted. "Execute Ghost Protocol on my mark." The consortium fleet had fully committed now, their ships moving to surround the lone human vessel in a sphere of death. Their tactical eye had calculated every possible escape vector, every conventional strategy the Artemis might attempt. But they hadn't calculated for this. Ghost Protocol. Execute. The quantum drive's hum reached a fever pitch. Reality itself seemed to shudder around the Artemis. Then, impossibly, the ship split into 4 identical vessels, each one perfectly real, yet somehow occupying the same space-time coordinates before diverging on different vectors. In the consortium flagship, the alien commander's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. Their sensors showed 4 identical human vessels where there had been one, each giving off identical energy signatures, each apparently solid and real. "All echoes stable," Tanaka reported, though her instruments were screaming warnings about quantum field collapse. "But we can't maintain this for more than a few minutes." "That's all we need," Chen replied. She turned to tactical. "Mr. Wang, implement attack pattern Hydra." The 4 versions of the Artemis moved in perfect synchronization, each one targeting a different section of the consortium fleet. The alien vessels, their tactical systems confused by the multiple targets, began to break formation. "They're splitting their fire," Rivera observed, "just as we hoped." The consortium's greatest advantage had always been their unity. Their ships linked together in perfect coordination through their crystalline technology. But that same connection meant they shared the same tactical assumptions, the same blind spots. Echo 1, target their port flank, Chen ordered. Echo 2, starboard. Echo 3, take the rear. We'll handle the center. The quantum duplicates of the Artemis began their attack runs, each one firing a full spread of missiles. The warheads had been specifically designed to disrupt the crystalline technology that gave the consortium its power. Consortium ships began to break ranks, their perfectly coordinated formation dissolving into chaos as they tried to track multiple threats that shouldn't exist. Their sensors couldn't determine which Artemis was real. Their tactical AI couldn't predict the movements of ships that violated causality itself. Multiple direct hits, Wang reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. Their defensive grid is destabilizing. But the victory was far from assured. Warning indicators began flashing throughout the Artemis as the ghost drive strained to maintain the quantum echoes. Field collapse imminent, Tanaka warned. We need to terminate the protocol, or we'll lose containment. Chen watched as their duplicates continued their attack runs, sowing chaos through the enemy fleet. The consortium's perfect formation had been shattered, their ships firing wildly at targets that existed in multiple states of reality simultaneously. Status of the civilian ships, she demanded. Last colony vessel completes jump calculations in 3 minutes, Rivera reported. Then we hold for 3 more minutes. Chen's voice was iron. Engineering. Divert all non-essential power to the ghost drive. We need to maintain the echoes just a little longer. The ship groaned as if in pain, the quantum field generating the echoes starting to unravel at its edges. But they had achieved what they needed. The mighty consortium fleet had been thrown into disarray by an impossible human strategy they never saw coming. Now they just had to survive long enough to complete their mission, and survive what would happen when the ghost drive finally gave out. The Artemis shuddered violently as another energy blast from the consortium fleet struck its weakening shields. In engineering, warning klaxons blared as the quantum ghost drive's containment field began to fluctuate wildly. Captain, we're losing Echo 2. Tanaka's voice crackled over the comm, nearly drowned out by the sound of failing equipment. Quantum field integrity at 28% and falling. On the main view screen, one of the Artemis duplicates flickered and distorted before vanishing completely. The sudden disappearance of one of their targets caused several consortium ships to collide, their crystalline hulls shattering on impact. Redirect power from Echo 2's matrix to stabilize the remaining echoes, Chen ordered, gripping her command chair as another impact rocked the ship. How long until the civilian ships jump? 2 minutes, Rivera responded, working to reroute emergency power. But the consortium fleet is regrouping. They're adapting to our quantum signature. The alien vessels had indeed begun to reform their formation, their initial confusion giving way to a more focused response. Their weapons fire was becoming more precise, targeting the subtle differences in quantum resonance between the real Artemis and its remaining echoes. Hull breach on Deck 4, Wang reported. Emergency force fields holding, but we're taking damage faster than automated systems can compensate. In engineering, Tanaka and her team fought a losing battle against physics itself. The ghost drive's core had begun to emit a high-pitched whine that made nearby crew members' vision blur. Reality seemed to bend around the drive chamber, space itself protesting the violation of its fundamental laws. Echo 3 is destabilizing, Tanaka warned. The quantum matrices are collapsing faster than we can reinforce them, if we don't shut down the drive soon. A massive explosion cut off her transmission as a power conduit ruptured, sending a cascade of sparks through engineering. When communications resumed, the background noise had changed to a terrible grinding sound. Engineering, report, Chen demanded. Drive containment is critical. Tanaka coughed through the smoke. We've lost Echo 3. The quantum feedback is creating micro-ruptures in space-time around the core. If it breaches, another impact rattled the ship, this one powerful enough to overwhelm the inertial dampeners. Crew members were thrown against their stations as the Artemis's artificial gravity fluctuated. Multiple hull breaches detected, the computer announced in its maddeningly calm voice. Structural integrity compromised on decks 3 through 7. Civilian ship status, Chen asked, wiping blood from a cut above her eye. 1 minute until the last jump, Rivera confirmed. But Captain, we're not going to last that long. Not like this. He was right. The tactical display showed the consortium fleet reforming around them, their ships moving with renewed purpose now that they'd begun to understand what they were facing. The loss of 2 quantum echoes had revealed patterns in the Artemis's movements that their crystalline AI was rapidly analyzing and adapting to. Engineering, what happens if we reverse the quantum field polarity? Chen asked suddenly. There was a moment of stunned silence from engineering before Tanaka responded. Theoretically, it would cause a quantum cascade failure. But wait, you're not suggesting. Can we control where that failure occurs? Maybe, if we can hold the field together long enough to direct it. But Captain, that would mean. I know exactly what it means. Chen interrupted. Begin the calculations. Bridge crew, prepare for emergency protocol Omega. Understanding dawned on Rivera's face. Captain, that's suicide. No, Chen corrected him, a grim smile forming. That's tactics. The consortium thinks they understand us now. Think they've adapted to our technology. Let's show them how wrong they are. She opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for emergency protocol Omega. This isn't what we planned, but it's who we are. Humanity doesn't just survive. We change the rules of the game itself. The remaining quantum echo flickered and died as Tanaka diverted its power to the main drive. The Artemis was alone now, surrounded by the regrouping consortium fleet. But in engineering, the quantum ghost drive's whine had changed pitch, becoming deeper, more resonant. 30 seconds until civilian jump, Rivera announced. Helm, plot a course directly for the center of their formation. Chen ordered. Engineering, begin quantum field reversal on my mark. The Artemis's engines ignited, driving the wounded ship straight toward the heart of the enemy fleet. On the consortium flagship, the alien commander watched in confusion as the human vessel abandoned all pretense of evasion or defense. They were about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous human weapon isn't technology, it's the willingness to do the impossible. Time seemed to slow on the bridge of the Artemis as the ship hurtled toward the heart of the consortium fleet. In engineering, Chief Tanaka's hands flew across her console, making dozens of minute adjustments to the quantum ghost drive's failing containment field. Field polarity at 40% reversal, she reported. The containment matrix is barely holding, but, Captain, I'm detecting something strange. The quantum fluctuations, they're creating some kind of resonance pattern with the consortium ship's crystalline structure. Chen leaned forward in her chair. Explain. Their hulls, they're not just crystalline in composition, they're quantum crystalline. The reversed field is causing their molecular structure to vibrate at the same frequency as our drive's collapse. If we time this right, we could trigger a chain reaction. Chen finished. The ghost drive's failure wouldn't just destroy us. It would cascade through their entire fleet. The consortium vessels had begun to concentrate their fire on the Artemis, seemingly confused by its suicidal charge. But their shots were becoming more precise, more devastating with each passing second. Hull integrity at 38%, Wong called out. Forward shields failing. Civilian ships, Chen demanded. 10 seconds to jump, Rivera confirmed. But the consortium is launching interceptors. They've figured out what the colonists are doing. Chen's mind raced. The original plan had been to detonate the ghost drive in the middle of the enemy fleet, taking out as many of their ships as possible. But this new discovery about their quantum crystalline hulls offered another possibility, if they could survive long enough to implement it. Engineering, can you modify the field collapse to match their hull frequency exactly? Yes, but Tanaka hesitated. We'd need to get much closer, almost point-blank range. and we'd need to maintain precise control over the collapse rate. Too fast, we just explode. Too slow, they'll destroy us before it works. Time estimate on reaching optimal range. Chen asked tactical. 30 seconds at current speed. Wang replied. But we won't survive their fire that long without shields. Chen smiled. Then we'll give them something else to shoot at. Lieutenant Wang, Access Emergency Protocol 793. Wang's eyes widened as he saw what the protocol entailed. Captain, that's brilliant. But we've never tested it under these conditions. We're about to execute. Wang's fingers danced across his console. Suddenly, every weapons port on the Artemis opened simultaneously. But instead of firing conventional weapons, each port began projecting holographic images, dozens of miniature versions of the Artemis, each one seemingly solid and real. Micro-holograms, Rivera breathed. Using our weapon systems as projectors. An old magician's trick, Chen explained. When you can't hide something, overwhelm them with copies. The consortium adapted to our quantum echoes because they were looking for quantum signatures. Let's see how they handle good old-fashioned light and mirrors. The space around the Artemis erupted with hundreds of identical copies of the ship, each one moving on a slightly different vector. The consortium fleet's targeting systems, already strained from dealing with the quantum echoes, began to falter as they tried to track the explosion of new targets. It's working, Wang reported. Their fire accuracy has dropped by 60%. They can't distinguish the holograms from our actual hull. Civilian ships away, Rivera announced triumphantly. Last colony vessel has successfully jumped to hyperspace. Now came the truly dangerous part. The Artemis continued its charge toward the enemy flagship, its holographic screen providing just enough confusion to let them slip through the worst of the enemy fire. In engineering, Tanaka and her team worked with desperate precision to match the ghost drive's collapse frequency to the consortium's hull resonance. We're almost in position, Wang reported. Point-blank range in 15 seconds. Engineering, status of the quantum field. Reversal at 83%, Tanaka replied. Hull resonance matching at 91% and climbing. But Captain, once we start the final collapse sequence, we'll have less than 10 seconds to get clear. Bold of you to assume we're planning to get clear, Chen responded calmly. All hands, this is your captain. It has been my greatest honor to serve with each of you. What we do here today will be remembered as long as humanity endures. For Earth, for all of us. The Artemis screamed toward its final destination, holographic doubles confusing the enemy until the last possible moment. They were so close to the consortium flagship that its crystalline surface filled their entire view screen. Now, Chen ordered quietly, initiate final collapse sequence. In engineering, Tanaka took a deep breath and entered the final command. The quantum ghost drive's whine rose to an impossible pitch as its containment field began to collapse in a precisely controlled sequence. The laws of physics themselves seemed to hold their breath as humanity played its final card. The consortium was about to learn that sometimes the most human thing of all is knowing exactly when to break the rules. The universe seemed to hold its breath as the Artemis's quantum ghost drive began its final, carefully controlled collapse. The ship's hull groaned under the strain of physics being stretched to their breaking point, while the massive crystalline form of the consortium flagship loomed before them like a mountain of living diamond. Quantum cascade initiating, Tanaka reported, her voice steady despite the chaos in engineering. Resonance matching at 98%. The reaction is starting to propagate through their hull structure. On the bridge, the main view screen showed something extraordinary beginning to happen. Waves of quantum distortion rippled across the surface of the consortium flagship, its crystalline structure vibrating in perfect harmony with the Artemis's dying ghost drive. Multiple energy signatures detected throughout the enemy fleet, Wang announced. Their ships, their entire neural network is being affected by the resonance. The consortium vessel's perfect formation began to waver as the quantum cascade spread from ship to ship through their linked crystalline technology. The very thing that made them so powerful, their unified network, was becoming their undoing. Time to full cascade, Chen asked, watching as reality itself seemed to shimmer around them. 5 seconds, Tanaka replied. But Captain, I'm detecting something else. The quantum field, it's not just affecting their ships. It's creating some kind of temporal wake. Chen understood immediately. The ghost drive hadn't just been creating duplicates, it had been bending time itself in ways they never fully understood. And now, in its death throes, it was doing something entirely new. All hands, she broadcast shipwide, whatever happens next. Remember, we chose this. We prove that humanity isn't finished. That we can't be predicted, controlled, or defeated. Not as long as we're willing to push beyond what's possible. The quantum cascade reached critical momentum. The space around the Artemis erupted with impossible colors as thousands of crystalline vessels began to resonate at the same frequency. The consortium flagship's surface cracked, lines of pure energy spreading across its hull like lightning. 3 seconds to total field collapse, Tanaka reported. The temporal distortion is increasing exponentially. Captain, it's been an honor. The honor has been mine, Chen replied. All of you. Thank you. Time and space twisted around the Artemis as the ghost drive reached its final moment. The quantum resonance had spread to every consortium ship, their crystalline technology amplifying and reflecting the effect in ways no human scientist could have predicted. In that last instant, as reality itself bent around them, the bridge crew witnessed something remarkable. Through the quantum distortions, they caught glimpses of other times, other possibilities. Earth unburned, human colonies thriving. Paths not taken, but somehow still real. For Earth, Chen whispered. For all of us. The ghost drive detonated. The explosion wasn't just physical. It was temporal, quantum, fundamental. The carefully tuned resonance frequency shattered the crystalline structure of every consortium vessel simultaneously. Their ships didn't just explode. They ceased to exist in normal spacetime, their quantum crystalline technology turning against them in a cascade of cause and effect. But the Artemis and her crew didn't simply die. In that last moment, as the quantum field collapsed and time itself buckled around them, something unprecedented occurred. The temporal wake they created wrapped around them like a cocoon of possibility, pulling them sideways through reality. The rescue ships that arrived hours later found no trace of the Artemis or the consortium fleet, just a vast field of crystalline debris and quantum anomalies that would puzzle scientists for decades to come. But they also found something else, encrypted transmissions spreading through subspace, carrying technical data about the consortium's weaknesses, their quantum crystalline technology, and most importantly, proof that they could be defeated. The Artemis and her crew had done more than win a battle. They had changed the course of the war itself. And somewhere, someone, in the quantum possibilities they'd created, perhaps they still flew on, proving that humanity's greatest strength was never its technology, but its ability to face the impossible and refuse to accept defeat. In the years that followed, as humanity rebuilt and pushed back against the consortium, the story of the Artemis became legend, not just for the victory it achieved, but for what it proved. That one ship, one crew, armed with courage, creativity, and the willingness to rewrite the rules of reality itself, could change everything. The war would continue, but the consortium had learned a crucial lesson. Never underestimate a species that could look at the impossible and see opportunity. Never discount those who could face extinction and respond with innovation. And never, ever assume you've defeated humanity until the last human heart stops beating. For in that final gambit, the Artemis had demonstrated the one thing the consortium could never understand. That humanity's greatest weapon wasn't its ships, its technology, or even its determination. It was hope, and hope, like the quantum echoes of the Artemis, could never truly be destroyed.